Athlete Builder, back at it, going again. Now we're in the 100s, over 100 episodes deep. Once we hit 104, that'd be 2 straight years. So let's break down another book. I got both of David Goggins' books right here. Here's his most recent one, never finished. Here's the other one, Can't Hurt Me. Let's talk about Can't Hurt Me. I don't know if you know David Goggins or not. Pretty well known in the social media world, public speaking, former military guy, been through all the horrible things, been through SEAL training, beyond that, Air Force, and also Rangers. So went through a lot of the different branches, hardest things. And on the other end, he comes out a lot different, as you might expect. Everyone does after you go through something important, something big. And for him, his first book, Can't Hurt Me, is one of the many ones I've been through, and I outlined it. And one of the things I did in writing my own book is I did a lot of research, and I outlined about 20 other books, decided which ones I wanted to reference, manuals, etc. And this is one of them. So what we're going to do today, like we have in times past, go through the chapters quickly, but not, sometimes we'll spend a little bit more time on others, and let's just get into it. And I'm going to tell you how I perceive some of these points, how I utilize them, how they come into play in my life, some things I might disagree with a little bit. And we're just going to go from there and hopefully tell you some stories along the way that are interesting, but maybe you can take 2 or 3 things and build yourself. The overarching theme with this book, Can't Hurt Me, is summed up in the title. He wanted to build himself mentally so you couldn't hurt him. Growing up, he was abused in so many ways, mentally and physically, that he was either going to come out on the wrong end and make nothing but bad choices and destroy his life and many others, or, as he likes to say, callous his mind and build the best version of himself, which arguably he did. And quite impressive if you go through his book. But essentially what he wants to do is do enough things where hard things happen to him later or horrible things happen to him later, and he's still equipped to handle those setbacks. It's all about building mental strength, resilience, toughness, and the ability to bounce back when you get beat up, which he did multiple times. So he leads right off the bat. A couple things. Denial is the ultimate comfort zone. Ooh, ouch. I thought about that. I started saying things myself. That's probably not true, blah, blah, blah. I don't need to do this, blah, blah. I'm trying to just be comfortable. And that's never where I can grow. What else do you write in that first intro and first chapter? We all make habitual self-limiting choices. Also true. You're living 40% of your life. I don't know how he came up with that number exactly, but he argues less than half. And I see that every day when people, personally, professionally, me included, there's days I don't put out all the time. I try to always work it to a higher level, but there's days I don't as well as I should or could. And I try not to make that a trend. But his point is there's more to you, so let's find it and let's evolve and build it. Chapter 1 starts off talking about statistics, but at the end of each chapter, and with this one first chapter alone, I just mostly focused on his challenge. And there's a challenge at the end of each chapter. There are 11 chapters. And he simply writes, in your journal, write down how and when you were hurt in the past. Absorb it because you're about to flip that. And that's important because a lot of times prior pains, childhood pains, they linger. They linger with me, they linger with others. I can tell you there's plenty of times I've been wronged by my parents, plenty of times I came up short as well as a parent. I'm sure you've been wronged as well as a kid. You've been wronged as an adult by a coworker, boss, teammate. That happens. Though that happens, it's still our responsibility to bounce back. The setbacks occur. How do you respond? The event plus reaction equals outcome. Event does not equal outcome. And there's so many wrong things going on. If you look at the Charlie Kirk shooting, Congress was going to have a moment of silence, and the Democrats said no. They started saying yelling no, so it shot down this moment of silence for Charlie Kirk's shooting. Democrats were upset that it was being celebrated, and they voiced their opposition. And people were pissed, and I was pissed. Then I thought back, well, when Nancy Pelosi's house got broken into and her husband was beat up, people laughed about that, and Republicans were happy about that. So here's the point: not that Republicans are better or Democrats are better typically in Congress. They're typically crooks, in my opinion. But one wrongdoing led to another wrongdoing, and now it's just back and forth, like on the playground when you're a little kid. Wrong things happened. The response was bad, so now the outcome is worse. The event was bad in both instances. The reactions were bad in both instances. Now the outcome is worse. The outcome could have been better in those instances based on the reactions. They weren't. So, however you've been wronged, write that down like he says. We're about to flip that. My advice to you right off the bat is note that, learn from it, but fix yourself first before you try to fix anybody else. Tony Robbins has a great example. If the plane's going down and it's you and your kid's sitting next to you, the plane's going down and the oxygen masks fall out, fix yourself first. They even tell you this: put the mask on you before you put the mask on your kid. Because if you pass out, you can't help your kids. So if you can't fix yourself, you can't fix anybody else. Going right into chapter 2, he talks about truth hurts. On page 68 alone, he uses the word truth 6 times, pleading that you be honest with yourself. The phrase temet noske, know thyself, is on the beam in my gym. And that's more towards me than anybody else. Know yourself. Be honest with yourself. Don't lie to yourself. If you're lying to yourself, you cannot be truthful with others. If you're lying to yourself, hey, I'm working as hard as I can, you cannot be truthful with your coaches if you're lying to yourself. When you go to them and demand in plain time, you know if you earned it or not, because it's going to be obvious. And when you're lying to yourself, you can't be truthful with others, and I have done that. You don't have a failed marriage without having done that. Straight up, and that's me. His second challenge will write down the dreams and goals on Post-its and put them on a mirror. Write your improvements or mantra, have it written on the mirror also. Look at it daily. He writes, it takes dedication, self-discipline, and it takes the truth. Getting ready for the SEAL swim, I had the flyer printed out. It was taped up on the mirror. The push-ups, the pull-ups, the miles of swim, it was right there in your face. And you probably already heard about this in the last couple episodes, but when I had to go meet with Teresa after my first open water swim, she goes, how'd you do? I go, I sucked. And she's like, wow. I go, what? And she goes, I thought you'd say it a little bit better. I said, I wish I could if it were truer, but it wasn't. Panicked, couldn't see, swimming all over the place, flipped over my back, panicked. It was terrible. How'd you do? I sucked. Great. Okay, let's work on our process. If I would have said it's okay, not a big deal, she wouldn't have coached me up. We wouldn't have figured out. We wouldn't have worked so diligently on the process to fix that. If you got a bad swing, you got a bad jump shot, you don't tackle well, that has to be articulated. Now we start measuring the measurables. You only improve what you measure. So write down what's the problem, and then we start working on it. But be honest, be truthful, be brutally truthful. It's so much easier. It is so much more reliable. It's so much more actionable. It is so much faster to get better. All right, so since he wants you to be tougher mentally, since David wants you tougher mentally, right in chapter 3, he says, hey, impossible task. He wants people not motivated, but driven. And he writes, if I hadn't made a stand and started walking the path of most resistance, I would end up in this mental hell forever. He was suffering and being abused mentally, physically. He tell you he was 300 pounds of fat, no motivation, eating terribly, nothing going right. And if he didn't fix that, I would end up in this mental hell forever. The mental hell is where your mind always beats you. Part of your mind wants to do something. Part of your mind thinks it can do some things. It can achieve some things. The other part of your mind says no, gives you fears, gives you the obstacles, and the fears and the obstacles always win. Your mind always beats you instead of you being in control. So right off the bat, challenge number 3. Write in your journal all the things that make me uncomfortable and do one, and then do another. Confidence comes from reps. Do things that make you uncomfortable. Standing up with 2 times your body weight on your back is uncomfortable. Asking the girl out to the dance is uncomfortable. Raising your hand and offering to be a volunteer is uncomfortable. For some. For some, they don't care because, one, they could have been just born that way. Unlikely. But after a while, you do enough things well, you realize, hey, you can handle setbacks. To squat 500, you're going to have a number of setbacks where you don't squat so well, and then you have to learn and adjust and improve. You have to take that feedback. You have to go through the fears of squatting 100, 200, 300, all the way up. All those fears get hit over and over again. Until after a while, hey, you know what? It's hard, but I have a good process and I can do this. I've been afraid before and I can do this. There's one time I have Dustin Burford. He was coaching me for a number of years, just building raw strength. And he was in my ear, and it was a max rep back squat, not something we typically do. And based on the number of reps that day, that meant how many reps, that meant how much weight I would do the next week. We're supposed to do 5 reps at 405 back squat. If I got 6 reps, 1 extra, every extra rep means 5 more pounds the next week. And I stay at 5s until I can't hit it, then I move down to 3s. So if I did 7 reps, that's 2 reps more than 5. 2 times 5 is 10. That's 10 more pounds. So next week, I'll put 415 on the bar for the first time and see if I can get 5 reps or more. If I can do more, then I keep adding weight the following week. And what's great about having a coach, he sees how you're moving. In your mind's eye, you want to stop a lot sooner because it's painful. You start squatting a lot of reps at a heavy weight that's on a relative basis for yourself, you get out of breath quickly. Your cardio starts going through the roof. Things start shaking. Things start hurting. You start worrying, can I stand back up? Now, he's spotting me, right? And he's an outstanding spotter, outstanding lifter. I'm safe, but still. So all I would hear in the back of my mouth, he's right behind me, so he would be right in my ear. And if I stood up fast enough, he would say, go again, go again. And I grind through the 3, 4, 5 reps pretty quickly, so it's pretty obvious I'm going to be going again. So I just go again on rep 6. Go again. Hit rep 7. Go again. 8. Go again. I've never done this before because this is the first time I'm doing 405. Last week I did a number that put me at 405 for the first time. So this week was 405 for the first time, but it's max reps. 408 hits. I'm sorry, number 8 rep hits. Go again. 9 reps at 405 on a weight I've never tried before. I'm starting to shake. I'm taking extra breath at the top. Down and up. I hit 10. Go again on a weight I've never done before. This 11th rep, I'm shaking the whole way up. I stand up. I'm just waiting to hear if he tells me to go again or not because my brain is now turned off. It's just sit your butt back, brace, drive through the floor, chest up. I'm just thinking about how do I survive the next thing. My whole focus gets whittled all the way down to what has to happen next in the process to stand up, not what's happening in 5 minutes. Not even racking the weight. It's how do I stand? How do I sit down and stand back up in this rep? And he says rack it. So I take a step forward and he helps me rack it. And then I just kind of sit down there on the floor, my back against the rack, and was kind of like shaking a little bit. He goes, that was a good set. My nervous system is ruined for the rest of the day and half of tomorrow, but we went ahead and trained. The point is this: you do enough sessions like that, and you have a good coach. 1, you trust when he tells you to go again. And 2, you're no longer afraid of being in that kind of pain because you handle it how many weeks in a row. And if I can handle this fear, I can handle this obstacle. I bet there's another fear and obstacle I can handle if I just stick with it, follow a process, and grind. And that's a whole lot of everything. I got a problem with my spouse. I bet there's a way I can address the problem and the obstacle. I bet there's a process for that. Kind of grind through it, not avoid it, be truthful. That chapter 3 for me was huge. And confidence comes from reps. So what's that mean? Do hard things. Number 4, taking souls. A tactic for you to be your best when duty calls. It's a mind game of you versus you, but it's also you versus someone else in this instance if you're taking souls. So they ask the question, why are you here? That takes you through the 7 levels of why, like we talk about. And then challenge number 4 is only way to earn respect is excellence. You must work harder on this task than you ever have before. Make sure you're seen and execute better than your boss ever thought anyone could. That's not executing a little bit better. That's executing monumentally better. So the one that taking soul thing is that you want to be able to go to a dark place, know you can perform there. So when you have to go to a dark place again, you've then earned that confidence that you can do that. But externally, it's probably you versus someone else. You're trying to move up the depth chart on your team, or you're playing tennis and it's you first versus someone else, and you want to intimidate and smash that person so bad that the next time you see them, they remember it and they don't want any part of you. Or you tackle someone so hard that the running back doesn't want to run at you that hard anymore. You perform so well that the opposition essentially wants to quit. That's the ultimate win in battle. Sun Tzu's maxim, one of Sun Tzu's laws, is that every battle is won before it's ever fought. That means in this instance, you win so big on one day that the opposition wants no part of you the next day. Here's an example. About 3 years ago, I'm sitting on the deck behind my house. Jack is home. I don't know if he usually listens to the show or not, but this is a true story. So if he does, great. I don't know if he knows I did this to him, but it's going to come out anyways. We're talking about lifting. He plays college football for Ball State, doing well, and had a great game this past weekend. They won. So shout out Ball State. But we're talking about lifting, and from afar, like his team is coaching him, his coaches, his strength coach coaches him. I would ask him questions and then post some different ideas. And, after a while, I'm sure you get tired of having your dad try to coach you or help you out. So on this particular night, I think it was like a Thursday or Friday, I think it was a Thursday. And he was home for 3 or 4 days. And he goes, Dad, I don't think you can really help me very much or teach me very much about lifting anymore. And I said, say that again? I just don't think you can really help me very much about lifting anymore. I think I got it. I think I know what I need to know. Okay. And so in 2020 and 21, I was probably at my strongest. So 22, 3 years ago, not as strong, starting to bring those numbers down a little bit, but I'm still okay. Probably on par against Jack and a number of different lifts. Not any of the speed lifts, none of the running, none of the sprinting, none of the power cleans or anything like that, but any of the static strength lifts, I'm on par with a D1 linebacker athlete that's strong as shit. I go, okay. Hey, we still training tomorrow, Jack? Yep, sure are. Tomorrow morning, no problem. 7 o'clock. Yep. Tomorrow's bench day. He goes, perfect. I'm ready to do that. Well, let's see how we do, and we'll go at it tomorrow. So then he leaves and he goes out with his friends, does whatever, hangs out, hasn't seen him in a while, some high school friends, rolls in around midnight, goes to bed, 12, 12:30. I don't know if he had any beers or not. Could have, maybe, I don't know. This is about 8:30, 8:45 when he left. So I'm just sitting there and he takes off. I'm like, okay. I'm sitting there just nodding my head. I'm looking down at the floor on the deck outside. I'm like, all right. I go inside, make some rice, cook that up, eat a ton of that, hydrate a ton, go to bed early, like 9:15, 9:30. Not even tired. Just kind of lay there for a little while, drift off to sleep early, 9:45. I'm out. Up early, 6 o'clock, but plenty of sleep. I wake up ready to go. Load up a bunch of more carbs, bananas, hydrate, go for a short walk, sit in the back deck. It's cool that morning. And I'm just kind of just nodding again, looking at the ground. I'm like, okay, this next session is going to be rough. It's going to be super rough. Let's get into it. And I just drive into the gym early. I know Jack's going to roll in whenever he gets there, probably like 1 or 2 minutes before. I'm going to make sure I'm good and warmed up, ready to go. We said 7 o'clock. I get there about 6:45. I'm walking down the hallway. My wife is doing a nutrition consultation with one of our clients, and she sees me walking down. My head's down. She goes, well, hey, what's going on? I go, dark place today, honey. She goes, really? I go, oh yeah. I just keep on walking. Brian Weiss, my training partner, he's always early, way earlier than I am. So if we say 7 o'clock, he's probably there before 6. He's down by the other end of the gym where the powerlifting is, and he's kind of warming up. The nutrition client goes, "Hey, what's that all about?" She goes, Jen says to him, "Hey, you don't want any part of that. You might go lift with those boys today, but you don't want. Do not get in the middle about what's about to happen. It's going to be so much volume and pain that you're not going to want any piece of that." And I walk up to Brian. He goes, "Hey, you all right, Bob?" I go, "Dark place today." And he goes, "No, really?" I go, "Why?" I go, "Jack told me that he doesn't really think I could really teach him anything else or help him anymore with lifting." And Brian's just kind of shaking his head like, "Oh, Jack, why would you say that?" And since then, obviously every kid matures. I was saying all sorts of dumb shit when I was his age and older, not let alone younger. So he rolls in 1 minute before. I brought caffeine, hydrated, plenty of carbs the night before, plenty of sleep. He's up till 12:30. Beyond that, he rolls in at 7, not nearly as much sleep. Not that he needs it. He's 19 years old at this point, so who cares? Maybe 20. And he goes, "What's the warm up?" I go, "We're gonna do 50 push-ups, 50 ring rows, 2 rounds. Let's just start there." So already right off the bat, we're 200 reps in with 100 push-ups, 100 ring rows. Do some other banded work. I said, "All right, it's threes on the bench. It's bench press day. Threes all the way up. We're going to max out, and we're going to do some drop down sets after that." And I made sure whatever Jack did, I added 5 more pounds and just kept beating him the whole way up. And finally, he maxed out, and I did a little bit more. And I looked at him in that third rep, and then just pressed it out. Took some weight off for the drop down sets. He used to take off about 10-15%. He would do his threes. I'll do fours. I do fives. Next thing, go over incline bench. Whatever we did, it was more. I did more reps and more weight every time. Started doing circuits, pull downs, upright rows, push ups, flies, sets of 15, 4 movements, 4 rounds. We finished that whole thing. I go, "Let's run the whole thing back." We do the whole thing, 4 more rounds again, sets of 15, 4 movements again. It's one thing after an hour. It's 90 minutes now, pressing all the time, 1 minute breaks, on the clock, go, go. He's like, "Hey, I'm kind of done." I said, "Well, yeah, we have to do our finish." And he goes, "What's that?" "When I finish how we started, 50 push-ups, 50 ring rows, 2 rounds. So another 200 reps at the end. Finish the whole thing. Workout takes forever. Brian and I are wrecked, but so focused. We're like, "Let's go again. Let's go again." And Jack essentially taps out, says, "Uncle," and, "Hey, I'm good." I go, "Yeah, it's probably a good session. We can keep going if you want." And he goes, "Nah, I'm probably good." I say, "Yeah, me too." "Okay, it's fine." What was funny is that the next day, he just says, kind of casually, "You know, I don't know. Maybe I was wrong yesterday or the day before, but you could probably teach me a couple things on lifting." So in that instance, took his soul a little bit, or at least made the point that, hey, if this old guy who hasn't been lifting as heavy as he once did can still put it down, show him an example, he can handle heavier weight, he can handle more speed weight, he can handle more volume, more reps, more everything. As a 48-year-old man, 47-year-old man, maybe I could still learn some things. Just being right sometimes isn't enough. Having the right information sometimes isn't enough. Sometimes you got to take their soul a little bit, or at least prove the point. In that instance, I did. Fast forward 3 more years. Can I go to a dark place? Yes. Can I still beat him at those weights and ability? Probably not. But I can still push myself to a really uncomfortable state and hang out there. Just it's 3 years later. I'm now coming up on 51, so it's not going to be the same. Chapter 5, Armored Mind. So it's all about the mind again. He says, accept pain as a natural part of the process. If you choose to see yourself as a victim of circumstance into adulthood, that callus will become resentment that protects you from the unfamiliar. It will make you too cautious and untrusting and possibly too angry at the world. It will make you fearful of change and hard to reach, but not hard of mind. That whole victim thing again, this happened to me. Yes, things happen to you. Change that. Why did this happen for me? How do I learn from this? The realization I had the other day, if you listen to Eric Thomas, the hip hop preacher, outstanding public speaker, and he'll have this one thing on repeat because I listen to this motivational thing every once in a while. He says, "You might have more privilege than me. You might, but you're not going to outwork me." And I thought about that. He was eating out of garbage cans, grew up poor, destitute. I did not have that. I had more luxury. And that essentially is what people call the privilege. And I thought, well, maybe it's backwards. Yeah, it's nice to have those gifts that help. But look at him. How resilient is he? Is the privilege really all the pain he went through? Because now he evolved into something else that is so resilient that he can handle so much more? Kind of depends, right? I kind of see it that way. Either way, whatever situation you're in, great. Jocko would say good, assess it, and go out and crush it. You're not a victim. Bad things happen, go out and crush it anyways. Fifth challenge, relentless self-discipline to schedule suffering daily. Overcome a lifelong fear or obstacle. What I love at my gym, more than anything, is when you see that mindset shift. That fear of just walking in, oh my God, this looks so intimidating, to the point where they're not worried about that anymore. Then they're worried about how do I look or how am I performing. They're not worried about that anymore. When they look at the workout that we're doing, they start thinking, all right, here's how I'm going to attack that. I'm not worried about these things. Something long and painful, I'm not worried about that. I've been through enough things. That's what I love. That's one of my favorite the mental PR is my favorite thing in the gym. Not even close. Chapter 6, he talks about it's not about a trophy. We all need small sparks, accomplishments in our lives to feel the big ones. But he talks about this. When you do something well, get out this cookie jar. Challenge number 6. Take stock of your prior wins. Write a win down on a Post-it note. Drop it in the cookie jar so you would see, hey, I did some things. There's reasons to believe in yourself. Maybe you forget, but there's reasons to believe in yourself. Everyone keeps saying that, well, discipline's the key. Discipline wins everything, right? And it does. Motivation is very short-lived and it's fleeting. Okay, true. The motivation is more about how you feel, right? I feel a certain way, I'm going to act that way. I feel motivated, I'm going to push. I don't feel motivated, I won't push. The discipline part is you keep pushing no matter what. Well, why not use that discipline and get a win that day? So if you use my planner or my journal, right? We're tracking habits. We're tracking all these things. This is how you make up your own motivation. This is how you reinvent your own motivation week after week. If you're tracking a whole bunch of things, like I would with the swim in my journal, I would track the number of days that I swam, the yardage, the times, the total yardage for that week, how fast I went, how my breathing was. Every time you get this little win, you feel better. Your feeling kicks in. What Tony Robbins would say, what people care most about is progress. So those little silly gold stars you see on your program in the gym, those are meaningful. Keeping a tick mark in your journal like we do, it's meaningful. Hey, I got 3 more wins this week. All right, fine. Can I find another win next week? Can I be better with my nutrition 7 days in a row versus 6? That's a win. I try to get 200 grams of protein. I hit 175. All right, I hit 176. That's a win. My average goes up to 177. That's another win. It goes up to 187, a big win. You start tracking all these things. The wins come in. I use this every week, getting ready for that swim that scared the shit out of me, or with my squatting, or whatever, to keep me coming back. The discipline is going to kick in regardless. Well, how about I do some things or recognize some things so at least I feel better while I'm cranking through that discipline. Makes it a little bit more enjoyable. So why not? Chapter 7, most powerful weapon. We habitually settle for less than we should. So he says, get up early. Fatigue makes cowards of us all. Catalog your weaknesses and vulnerabilities. They will show up. Get ahead of them. Recognition and realization exercise. So if you get up early, you visualize the day's obstacle, you're going to start thinking subconsciously and consciously on how to get around it. And his challenge number 7 is take yourself to failure in a physical challenge and then do 5 to 10% more. How do we do that? Urban Meyer's book, Above the Line, he says everything you do plus 2. So you'll see me when I train, whether it's a swimming or lifting, whatever. Throughout that training session, there'll be multiple times where it's going to be everything you do plus 2. If it's a 5x5 reps game, one of those sets, I'm going to hit 7 or more. Push. If I'm supposed to do 30 down and backs in the pool, I'll do 31 or 32. Or I'll do 30 plus 100 push-ups. You get in the habit of always doing more. Because what happens when you have to go to overtime? Shoot, great, well, this is just more. I'm already expecting more. There's no letdown. Oh man, they hit that tying field goal to send it to overtime. I thought we won. Now I have to go back out and re-win this game. Mentally, it hurts, right? No, I'm expecting more. Everything you do plus two, the whole game plus more. That's how I handle that piece. You expect to do more because you're always doing more. When he talks about catalog your weaknesses and vulnerabilities, that's right in our planner too. So we use a basic SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. You take your training, find out what your three strengths are, your three weaknesses are, your three opportunities, and your three threats. And from that, you identify what is the priority for me to work on most in my training. You start tracking that. You start getting your wins. You build extra motivation for your training, and you keep evolving your training. You bring up your weak links. You keep pushing higher your competitive advantages. We're constantly hunting for those things on training. That's how we evolve. It's right out of my book, right out of the planner. We do it for all 6 things: mindset, knowledge of your sport, training with teammates, training, nutrition, recovery. So I love chapter 7 with him. Chapter 7, take yourself to failure and then push. Yes. And also catalog your weaknesses. Bang. Let's do that. Chapter 8, talent not required. He said a 40-hour work week is 40% effort. All right. Prioritize your tasks and get it done and execute. Challenge number 8. Week 1, catalog everything I do during the day for a week. So keep your planner right by you. What time do you get up? What do you do that first 15 minutes or half hour? The next half hour? The next half hour? All day long. Catalog what you're doing. Be honest. Maybe you break it down into 10-minute increments. How much screen time do you have? How much time are you wasting? He didn't say don't waste time. He says we want to just know how much. Remember, you improve what you measure. Week 2 after this, build an optimal schedule. I train in the morning. Get it out of the way before everything else is done. I coach sometimes in the morning. Most of my gym things I get done before lunch or 1 o'clock. From 1 o'clock to 4, I work on the athlete builder things with the podcast, digital course, webinars, etc. Evening back to the gym and coach. So you build out your optimal schedule. First, what are you doing? 2, what's your optimal schedule look like? Week 3, how can you evolve it a little? Remember, you're constantly hunting for weaknesses. All right, here's my optimal schedule. I'm going to go try it out. For the longest time, I've been lifting before I swim. This week, I'm trying out swimming first, based on when the pool closes and when I coach. It might be that I swim first and then lift. This might be a little bit better. We're trying this out this week and seeing it. First, you improve what you measure. So write everything down, write out, then make a plan, then immediately adjust your plan. That's outstanding. Chapter 9, uncommon amongst the uncommon. A true leader stays exhausted, abhors arrogance, and never looks down on the weakest link. He fights for his men and leads by example. Challenge number 9, do something big and painful. Well, we've seen that in a lot of other chapters. This is the one thing I kind of disagree with. I'm not saying don't do things big and painful, but we're already doing those things big and painful all the time. So if you're looking to pick up others, you never grow taller than when you stoop to help a brother kind of deal. Pick someone that's not performing as well and might train near you or be on your team at work or be on your team on the field and go help that person get better. Show them some things you're doing with your nutrition. Showing some extra work you're doing in the weight room. If you're watching film, have that person watch some film with you. That person gets better. They had progress. They feel happier. They're going to send it back to you. They're going to push you a little bit better. It all comes back. Chapter 10, empowerment of failure. Don't focus on what you think you deserve. Take aim on what you're willing to earn, and then take it. Challenge number 10 is the after action report. I love this. We do this on a planner after every week. What went well? What didn't go well? What did you learn? What habits need to evolve? Where can you improve? Also, I have my athletes, they do this after their games. They got a basketball game on Thursday night. After action report. How was your mindset before, during, and after the game? What do you need to learn more about the game of basketball? The knowledge piece. How coachable were you? How coachable were you by the other people on your team? How did you help communicate with your teammates? How about your support teammates? How'd you help them or thank them? What do you need to train more to perform better at basketball? How was your nutrition before, leading up to the game? Intra game, how was that? Did you need more? Were you dehydrated? Did you have no sugar? How about post game? Do you have a plan for that? Now your recovery. How do you bring yourself down? How do you calm down? How do you recover any aches and pains? The after action report is huge because you're looking for more information so you can adjust faster. Most people just get in the same routine. That's why they call it a rut. It's the same all the time and they can't get out of it. Take the approach you're constantly hunting. So you're asking yourself, what can I improve? Chapter 11, he ends the whole book with what if? What if the power and permission to face down your darkest demons, your very worst memories, and you accept them as part of your history? What if you just simply accept them? And what if you ask yourself to do something hard? And what if it all worked out? What if it all worked out? It's my daughter Maddie moving right along in Alabama. She's in year 4. She's got 2 years left. She'll finish with her undergraduate in aerospace engineering and an MBA. And she came home over the summer, having a number of challenges at school, a number of stressors and feeling pressure in a lot of ways. Had to work through a bunch of that. She'd always been athletic growing up, playing a lot of soccer. And then since going to Alabama, a lot of that had fallen off. Did some working out, did some cardio, did more than her dad did in college, but felt she was missing a piece. And she's a taller girl, which is good. She When she came home, she was working out, doing some conditioning, and then got on the rower. My wife said, "Hey, Maddie, you're rowing pretty well. Your technique's good, and you pull with a decent level of power. Let's see what your capacity is like. Do a 500-meter row test, 1,000 meters, 1,500, 2,000, 5,000." She did a 5,000 row test, rested for 10 or 15 minutes, and then rowed another 5K. Things are looking pretty decent. I'm bringing Jen Floyd, outstanding athlete and coach. I met her when I first started doing CrossFit. She was an Olympic rower. She's nearby where I coach and live, and asked her to come by and gave Maddie some pointers, worked on her knowledge of her sport, got better there. Had her keep lifting, and she kept rowing consistently. Then she signed up for this course out on a local park where they have a pretty large lake, and they're teaching they're teaching rowing out there on the lake. So she signs up for this course to learn like what's it actually like on a boat with the oar. What are the mechanics here? Kept learning, kept training, started improving her nutrition as well, but kept getting more powerful, building her capacity. Goes down to Alabama this fall, and then tries out for the women's rowing team, which is a D1 sport at Alabama. And she wanted to come on as a walk-on. So she went to the call out, heard everything, did all the tests. It was 2 weeks of testing. The day before the announcements of who made the team or not, the coach said, "Hey, if anybody wants to talk to me about where they stand, make an appointment, come see me. Let's talk some things out." Maddie, of course, makes an appointment, goes and talks to him, asks how she's looking. Coach says she's on the bubble, liked a lot of things, liked the improvement. Goes over this and that, technique-wise, capacity-wise, knowledge-wise, and then the next day when the teams were announced, Maddie made the team. She simply said, "Hey, well, what if I work really hard over these months, take my natural abilities, focus in on one endeavor, rowing, would I be able to make it as a walk-on? Not necessarily starting yet, right? Could that happen? What if?" And that's David's last chapter here, what if? And we asked that what if, and all I did was coach her every day on the same 6 things we talk about here in Athlete Builder all the time. Track things, evolve, tracked and evolve, fixed things and kept going. And on Saturday, 2 days ago, um, on September 13th, she gets a call from her coach and says, "Hey, Maddie, you made it." So today, the 15th, is the first day of being on the team at the University of Alabama. She's a D1 athlete. So we're going to end it there. David says, "Hey, what if?" I mean, just think, what if you did some things? Give yourself a little bit of hope. Apply those challenges that he has. A lot of them dovetail exactly with what we do at Athlete Builder. Ask yourself what if, and then when it comes time to the next day, let her rip. Get after it and see what happens. I like the book Can't Hurt Me. I haven't read Never Finished. I haven't read that one yet. Um, Not that I don't want to, I just haven't gotten around to it, but got a lot out of it. I referenced him a lot. He makes a lot of good points. Tells a story along the way, which is inspiring, gut wrenching, sad, impressive. So check it out. David Goggins Can't Hurt Me. It's a worthwhile read. I took a lot out of it. It's not so much that you read it, it's that you read it and you start doing things. It's a matter that you know it, it's that you know and you utilize it. So that should always be the approach. Learn it and then put it into practice. And that's my challenge to you guys today. Learn something from here, put it into practice, make the world a better place, and help other folks out. Till next time, see ya.